Hello, listen, before I start, I just want to pay a little homage and a tribute to those who took time out of their busy schedules to listen to my first episode. I also appreciate those who took time afterward to leave me with a positive feedback in my comment section or in my DMs. I really appreciate it, guys, and I'm truly grateful for the love and support. That entire episode was based on me reflecting on my personal battle with self doubt and how my faith in God helped me push through. The doubt came from me overthinking, right after finally achieving something I have dreamed of for years. Instead of enjoying the moment, I started questioning whether I was good enough, fearing that I might fail before even starting. And that fear almost made me quit. During that time, I was feeling somber. And I remember I sent a text to my friend the day before I dropped my first episode. And this is a conversation we had. I said to him, I'm really scared, but it's funny how sometimes we expect ourselves to instantly rise to the occasion without considering that progress is the name of the game. I expect myself to be great and produce great results with my first episode. And I forget that this is all new to me. It hasn't even been a month since I started my podcasting journey, and I'm already crucifying myself with expectations that are beyond my potential right now. I know that there's room for development, but I'm here giving myself a TKO before the first round has even started. He made me realize that the feeling I had was a symptom of how important my art is to me. It showed how much I value my work. Paired with this is my understanding that progress is the name of the game, which is meant to be some sort of an antidote to how I'm feeling, but it isn't. He also went on to say, if you are the type of person who has a lot of ideas, your mind is your worst enemy because you also have a lot of excuses. The good news is making excuses is a habit. And if you can replace that habit with execution, you become unstoppable. Having this conversation made me realize that this is what I want my podcast to be about. Having conversations that matter, whether I'm sitting alone or I have a guest. While we here is about creating a safe and honest space for real conversations on life, personal growth, and success. Whether that's success in monetary value or success in having a good life and having healthy relationships. It's about being authentic, sharing my own journey, or having others share their own in real time and showing listeners that they don't have to have everything figured out to start. This podcast isn't just about talking, it's about connecting, influencing, and sparking thoughts. It invites listeners to reflect, to grow spiritually, and to choose faith over fear. Whether it's tackling self doubt, celebrating progress, or learning how to trust God with the unknowns of life. The goal is to motivate people to keep going, to surrender their plans to God, and to build a community that thrives on encouragement and truth. So without further ado, I'm Robert Mapunya, and this is While We Are Here. This episode is a little secret between me and you. So lean in because what I'm about to share might sound a lot like your story. Today's episode is brought to you by my diary, the one place where my thoughts pay rent and still refuse to clean up after themselves. The first point in my diary is about my lack of practicing faith. I really want to emphasize the importance of practicing your faith in the Lord. This is something I've realized every time I encountered hardships in my endeavors. One thing about me is that I have devoted my life to making sure that not a single day goes by without me reading the Bible, praying, and praising. These acts of worship are deeply rooted as the core principles of my life. And as time goes, I can see that I'm really growing stronger in faith. But it was never like this before, of course. And I just want to share this journey with you guys. I really hope it resonates with many of you who are listening. One thing I have realized is that my lack of faith always came in moments where I thought I could do it all by myself. And I would completely disregard the Lord's guidance. And I won't lie, there's a part of me that always forgets God's guidance in the midst of everything. I believe I inherited it from the days when I used to face adversity alone without a single clue that there was somebody or someone greater who cared about me. I was so used to fighting battles alone that even when I started being in the presence of the Lord, I wanted to continue fighting alone. But the outcomes of my actions wasn't instant failure, but setbacks. Setbacks in the form of self-doubt and insecurities. I want to believe that at the time, I didn't fully understand the concept of being born again. What I mean is that after I gave my life to Christ, the one mistake I made was continuing with my old habits. It didn't clock in with me that I had to develop new ones. I turned a blind eye to the internal work that needed to happen. For example, the way I do things, how I react, how I think, and how I speak. Literally, everything needed to change. And honestly, this is what led to me not practicing my faith because even though I was in the presence of the Lord, I didn't have the right mindset to believe and start practicing my faith in Him. Also, there's this verse I want to share with you guys. I feel like it aligns with what I'm saying. It's in James chapter 1, verse 22 to 25. It says, "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word and does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what it looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do." So, my understanding of the scripture is that God's word is not just to be heard, but lived out. Because true faith is proven by actions, and blessings come when we obey what we have learned. To be honest, such wisdom helps one cultivate their own character, discipline, and alignment with God's will. Because faith without action is like a seed never sown. It holds potential but bears no harvest. The next point in my diary is about temptation. I wrote that temptation is the devil's playground, and every step you take on it is a seed you plant in the garden of your own downfall. This is a story about my encounter with temptation. It's actually a funny one, but it's morally wrong because I found myself trying to justify it, and by it, I mean temptation. I just found myself trying to find a good side that would allow me to act upon my temptations without a shadow of doubt. It's actually crazy how my friend Sunny Boy, whom I had this conversation with, kept telling me that temptation is simply bad. And that's just how it is. He said, "You cannot find any goodness in it, Mapunya." But I didn't care. I really didn't care because I was persistent in my pursuit of finding the good side of my temptation. I didn't allow his view to cloud my end goal. After a long conversation that extended to us doing research just to prove each other's points wrong, he still couldn't convince me. But that was me being hard headed. I don't know why I'm like that sometimes, but Yeah. So later that night, after being an undisputed, hard-headed heavyweight with the devil's sparring gloves on, I finally pondered the idea of seeing the good side of temptation, only to realize it still had horns and a tail. Yes, the concept of temptation is complex, so it can be viewed as both good and bad, depending on the context and individual perspective. But from my perspective, it was morally wrong. I wasn't trying to find the good side of temptation. I was simply trying to please the flesh. In a way, I was trying to convince myself not to break, but to bend the rules of my self control or discipline. And just to give a brief example of what I mean, let's just say there's money in my friend's wallet, and his wallet is just on top of the table, and it happens to be staring at me. During that moment, my friend is not around. He's out of the room, and it's just me and the wallet. And I happen to be facing or under severe financial strains. So the temptation to steal the money hits me. But now I don't want to feel bad about the action I'm about to commit. Since I don't want to feel bad, I choose to give myself a good reason for why I should proceed. I come up with an excuse like, yo, you broke right now and you're going through this and that, you need to solve this and that. You see? So this is what I mean when I say I was trying to justify my temptation. I believe that by wanting to come up with good reasons to act upon my temptations, I was allowing the devil to enter my life through the back door. I completely forgot that the devil is the master of deception and temptation is his primary tool. There's also this common saying that states when the devil comes into your life, he's not going to come as the devil or in an obvious way, but he will come in as your desires or temptations. And I realized that temptation is more than just a simple choice. It's a fight for who you are. It's the quiet thought that tries to get you to make one small excuse to break your self control. Giving in just once, no matter how small it seems, it opens the door to more excuses. It tells you it's okay to give up on what you know is right. The struggle is a deep fight between your good side and your weak side. When you give in, you let your weak side win. And when you fight back, you show that your good side is in control. Don't let your short term wants win. Because if you do, you lose your purpose. And I know that there are many others out there who also give in to temptations. But starting from today, I want you to always ask yourself these few questions. Who am I truly becoming in this moment? Does this action align with the person I want to be? The person with discipline, integrity, and purpose? Am I building a strong character or compromising it for a moment of ease? The final point in my diary is kind of linked to a lot of stuff I have said throughout this whole conversation about faith. I wrote that it's one thing to have faith, but it's another thing to truly trust God with the unknowns of your life. Faith is the quiet confidence that a better path exists, but trust is the courageous act of walking that path, even when you can't see the destination. You can have faith that the sun will rise, but you only truly trust it when you let go of your fear of the night. So I will leave you with this. Faith isn't about knowing the whole staircase, it's about taking the first step. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast of While We Here. Listen, I know that my podcast is only available on Spotify because I'm still trying to figure out how to integrate it with other platforms, especially iPodcast and YouTube Music. But please do me a huge favor. Hit the follow button, turn on the notification, and also, if you'd be so generous to leave a comment. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.